I'm a clinical psychologist, and I'm a clinical professor at the University of Washington. I have an appointment in psychology as well as psychiatry and behavioral science. My specialty is adolescent medicine. I teach in a variety of areas there. I have a clinical practice. I see teens and couples and families. So I have academic articles and I write books for parents. 4 of the 5 of them are on adolescents. Here's my story. It's because I didn't get the job of my dreams in my senior year of high school, which was to be a hamburger hopper. Not everybody knows what that is, but it's one of those people that goes back and forth from the cars to the hamburger joint and back and forth. But there were 200 applicants, and I didn't make it. So my mother got me a volunteer job at Southern Illinois University, and it was a very novel research project. It was a token economy for giving children that self-harmed, about 5 to 10-year-olds, reinforcement for the patches of time that they did not self-harm. So it was a research project. It was really interesting. And then I had something on my resume, and when I went to college, I worked in a school for emotionally disturbed, and I really liked it, and that was all it took. Is I wanted to get a PhD and do it for the rest of my life. Yeah, it probably relates to why this program too, because we all kind of go into our careers and then we start to hone it, like what feels the best, what uses my signature strengths, where do I resonate, the old line, when work doesn't feel like work. Right. And what happened was for probably 20 years at adolescent medicine at the University of Washington, I saw teenagers and families and trained therapists and adolescent medicine fellows in the care of teenagers and their families. But over time, because so many people don't want to work with the parents, they'd rather work with the teenagers, and I resonated with that. It seemed to me like you send the teenager as a therapist home to families, and you can do a lot in those hourly sessions week to week, but why not train the families that are with them all the time, that need and want the skills to handle those situations, whatever the problem is, whether it's drinking or eating disorders or school failure or delinquency. Why not train the family, because that's where the child lives? So there's something to be said for both, teaching the teenager the skills, but also the parents. And so I just kept wanting to do more of the parent education part. What's hardest for me is what's hardest for all of my students and fellows and residents and graduate students, and that is that we'll bring everything we can to bear to help that family, but there are some situations, just like in cancer, you can't cure all the patients. Some will be terminal, as much as we'd like to think otherwise. So I think the hardest part is when you bring everything you can to bear and you can't help the family for whatever reason. It might be school phobia, and the child's been home for 2 years, and you want them to, have a plan for returning them to school, but for whatever reason, with the emotional problems of the family or the child, you fail. So, of course, failure is the hardest part. So part of what we need to do is accept that in the continuum of people that we work with, we'll really be able to help a good chunk of them. Some of them it will be, more or less help them, and some we can't actually help. A really good day is when I reflect back on various hours, maybe not 6 of them in a row, but maybe even 4, and I can see the light goes on, let's say in a teenager or in a parent, where you just know that all pistons are firing. You know when they're taking it in. And really, think about it. It's like when a parent enjoys a child. We are cooking with gas, right? So you can see that they're really taking in the material. They synthesize, they put things together, they're excited about it, they're committed, they're motivated. They go out saying, oh, I'm going to go out and use these skills, or I have an insight about this. And they're more excited about working on whatever the goals are of the therapy.